Good evening, the Tony and Tim show. We're back here and we're just trying to have a good time this evening, Tim, talking about the football that happened over the week.
Yeah.
And the big talking point.
Yeah.
Do we need VAR or is it going to be a spoiler to the game?
I think I'll maintain my stance, Tony, that we need VAR in football, Premier League also next season maybe. But the people who use the VAR, I think, are not deciding well, because if you look at what happened in the midweek, Man United qualifying in the last minute with VAR, and also Porto qualified because of VAR. So it comes back to the referees. How do they interpret it? Because in real time, it doesn't look like a foul or a handball, but slow motion usually worsens things, and I think it's the usage of VAR that's misleading it now.
Big problems if it was brought in to avoid situations like that.
Yeah.
And now if it's creating controversy, it's going to be a big problem for everyone.
Yeah, it's going to be
very easy to accept an error made by a human.
Yeah.
I don't think it's easy to take one made by a computer.
You don't take that error, but I think after about 2-3 years, don't be surprised, Tony, if FIFA can reverse that decision.
Big interesting news, of course. In the midweek, we had big games in the Champions League. Manchester United edging out PSG in Paris. Big game there. They beat PSG 3-1, courtesy of that last gasp penalty from Rashford. And of course, Madrid in the other biggest talking point. Real Madrid crashed out to Ajax 4-1 in a performance that we never saw coming at the Bernabeu.
At the Bernabeu, I don't know how many times they have lost 4-1 in the Bernabeu, and especially in a match where elimination games, I don't think so, but it was a horrendous performance, and I think that capitulated into what is happening in Madrid. They've been so poor all season, so that he tried to change a lot of things, but it has gone astray for him now.
3 losses in a row. They lost 2 times before this particular game. So it shows you that there's certainly a big problem for Real Madrid. The hierarchy is starting to look for a new manager. So that shows you how much Solari and his team need to start picking up the points. There are big news in that particular one. Of course, we also had Tottenham edging out Dortmund by a 0-0, taking them through on aggregate. Big performance, goal from Harry Kane, their mercurial striker. And of course, like you said, Porto beating Roma to also progress there. Big game, the only game that went into extra time in that particular thing. But we turn our eyes onto the Super Sunday that we'll be having in the Super League, in the Premier League. Arsenal will be taking on Manchester United at 7:30 in the evening.
What a game, Tony, this will be, because Man United, having come from that almost miracle from Paris and to Arsenal, it's a game that's going to be fascinating, because Arsenal knows a team now that can stop Man United. It will be the talking point. If they can pull a result over Man United, then they are the new talk in town, and I believe that will be a very good game.
It's almost hard to beat this Ole Gunnar Solskjaer team. He lacks 10 first-team players at the moment. That's what he traveled to France with, minus 10 top first-team players.
About 7 starters.
About 7 starters. He managed to get a result from that.
I mean, that's why, Tony, people are calling it a miracle. It was built the impossible, the mission impossible, but it became possible at the end of the day. But Solskjaer, I mean, is able to put 1-2 things right, and I believe the players who stepped in, the young boys, did amazingly well. McTominay, Pereira, they've been fantastic for United.
Manchester United visit an Arsenal side with its own problems. If you look at Arsenal, and how they've regressed in the past couple of months under Unai Emery, they suddenly had the incentive to push on. They find themselves in 5th place, a point behind Manchester United. This is a game where both teams must win to get any sort of advantage ahead of their rivals. Manchester United was on 58 points in 4th place. Arsenal on 57 points in 5th. Arsenal have their own problems. They have a red card in midfield for a player that I think has been very fantastic for them this season. Lucas Torreira will be out of this game. Yeah,
that's going to be massive. I was actually wondering during the previous game against Tottenham why Torreira was kept on the bench. I think he's a starter ahead of Guendouzi. Even if Guendouzi is this brilliant young boy, you can't play 3 of them alongside Xhaka. No, so one has to be on bench, and that's huge pressure now on Guendouzi. He has to play a game and almost finish it in that midfield. You look at Paul Pogba is going to be playing in that game. He was off in the Champions League because of the red card, but
suspension.
He's available in Premier League. And you look at Guendouzi, Xhaka, are they midfielders good enough to mark a playmaker like Paul Pogba? I don't think so, but it's a game that if Arsenal manages to combat the midfield, then I believe with Ozil, Lacazette, Aubameyang up front, Arsenal will have something to say here.
It will be very interesting because Arsenal, just to talk about Arsenal, in terms of injuries, a lot of their players have been coming back into the side right now. So Unai Emery will have a bit of options going into this particular game. They have long-term absentees still out. Hector Bellerin still far from returning. But in the center of the defense, they have Mustafi and Papa and Koscielny who are still available. So he has a bit of options. He could even play his favored three at the back if he chooses to in this particular game. So it will be very interesting to see the lineup that he puts up, especially the formation that he plays this Manchester United side with. Solskjaer is a coach that's favoring the 4-3-3 formation in a lot of these games. So it will be very interesting to see here, especially in the midfield, is where I think the battle will be. Like you said, Pogba will be coming up against the inexperienced Guendouzi and Granit Xhaka. But the Manchester United midfield also lacks Herrera and Matic.
I mean, those are huge absentees. But the guys who have stepped up, Tony, have done a brilliant job.
Fred and McTominay.
I mentioned McTominay there. I think Fred might be lightweight for this game. He might go with, again, Pereira there. But Fred did an amazing job. He was not seen in PSG, but I think if a midfielder is not seen, that means it's more defensive. So I really think midfield-wise, Man United might be able to play Arsenal.
It will be very interesting. These teams last met in the FA Cup, of course, in which Manchester United dumped out Arsenal in that particular fixture at the Emirates. So it will be very interesting to see them return to the Emirates after flying away to Paris. They've been having a couple of away games. It will be very interesting to see how much that trip has on them. Of course, we know that Arsenal is also away to France. So it will be very, very interesting in this particular game. Arsenal playing Manchester United at home. I think Arsenal have the firepower going into this game. But the form of Manchester United, Romelu Lukaku up front and Rashford, who had a very brilliant game in Paris. This is a game where Arsenal might struggle, and I've gone for Manchester United. Very close win, 1-0.
Well, I've gone the reverse, Tony. It's just my gut feeling, because if you look at the previous games that Arsenal played with Man United, United has won 3-1, I think, in both games. But the pressure Arsenal piled on Man United. Remember, De Gea made amazing saves that time. And then even the previous FA game, Arsenal attacked, and Man United had some good saves there. I think this time around, Arsenal will be able to put 2 goals in the net, and that makes me give them the win. Arsenal 2-1.
Very interesting there. I've gone for 1-0 and for Manchester United, and the team has gone for 2-1 for Arsenal. Very, very big game. You can't afford to miss any of that action. That game comes to you at 7:30 p.m. on a Sunday. That promises a lot of action. We'll be back after the break to dive into more and that.
Jump in, yo, might for this jumpy on the mic beat all night. Now you have me where you need me.